These Shadow Reapers are, you know, supporting healthy lifestyles. Always work out, you know, lift your weights.
Always imagine yourself as a bigger, stronger, face-hittier version of yourself.
Oh, Bad Blood! There's the Carabos.
Bad Blood indeed.
So,
Carabos
it's
blood.
more likely a Bat Carabos thing. Okay, there's the Vanya. So this is going to be a very aggressive list with Carabos to kind of end its curve. And the idea, now Carabos as a card is a little more complex for players who are new, or I imagine a lot of veteran players are watching this late in the evening, but just in case.
Strange effect indeed.
Yes, just in case, Carabos' effect is after you play the card, it actually stops your play point regeneration for the rest of the game.
It's as if it changes the rules of the game itself with that effect. Your play point generation is jammed right there on the turn you play it. It could be turn 6, it could be after that. And then in return for that disadvantage, at the end of every one of your turns, your opponent takes 1 damage to the face and you draw an extra card. So, massive generation of resources, a generation of damage that you'll always have, at the cost of losing the amount of cards you can play afterwards.
There are many reasons why this is advantageous for the aggressive blood deck at this point in the game at 6-7 play points. Typically, your opponent is at very low health, so 1 damage is incredibly significant. There often is a time, if you look at the hand right now, you'll see it,
Tizin's
where
already
card
running
advantage is very difficult for aggressive blood, so having that extra draw is very useful. And you typically don't have cards that cost much more than 4 or 5 play points in the deck. You don't need to go up to 7, 8, 9. Typically looking to end the game there.
Be gone.
So Agunom is going to try to just simply fight back against the early aggression Tizin has put on. Thankfully, Ayala only going up to 4 attack is resistant to the effect of Cliff Runner, whose name I sometimes mix up because it just seems so Gruffy Runner Man.
Gruffy guy.
Sprinter Usain Bolt. Gruff Mountaineer Captain, that's it. So his effect is that if he fights something that has 5 or more attack, he simply doesn't take damage. He's too fast for things that are that huge. But if it's within his range, it can catch up to him.
And the big thing is he must initiate the combat.
Right.
If another card swings into him with 5 or more attack, and he isn't the one that initiates the fight, he will still take the damage.
He has to be the one running, otherwise he gets a slow start.
Alright, so let's take a look at the situation for the Dragoncraft player. Already boosted up to 8, now 9, and that is incredibly frightening, but in classic aggressive fashion, down to 9 points of health already. The big concern here is Polyphonic Roar, plus the fact that you are on 10 play points, so on the top deck you can get a plethora of options that may pull you out of this aggressive situation and kind of save the day for you, plus the Sybil heal is incredible.
Right.
Carabos down immediately. It's going to be able to evolve and take down the Sybil and still have some health points left. That's super quality right there.
Having 2 health is such a big deal too, because it means Agunom has no answer for this. Unless he draws one right here. I'll hold my breath. Doesn't.
Oh god, and this could get real bad. Gotta evolve the Dragon Summoner. You have to do that, and he would have loved to save that for some other card for some swing back play.
Yeah, these Ayelas are effectively not going to do anything for him because that ramp effect is just simply lost at 10 play points already.
Oh, gosh.
Tizin.
If he had that extra play point, or if he had got the Carabos on the top deck, this would be a much different story.
It is worth mentioning that as we explain Carabos' effect, you can play multiple ones,
Yes,
and their
they
effects stack.
Yes. So up to 3. Here comes some pressure now. Oh!
Zeus! If anything, if any force in this game can save Agunom, and just get rid of all this pressure that he's taking, it's Zeus.
Yep. Zeus, 5'10", Stormbane Ward.
I think Agunom is actually in a really good position here, because 5'10", against a class like Blood, that does not play any wealth of cards with simple destruction effects, or anything of the like, that is 10 extra health, that well, 9 extra health that Agunom is gaining, as he takes, well no, he trades in a way that it would be 10.
Yeah, the real kicker here is Ward.
Right.
Being able to go past now, Razor Claw is one of those. Carabos goes past that, and the fact that you have no more evolution orbs, and a 3rd bafflement is not what you want to see. But this is a rough situation, right? You got 15 damage coming on the next turn because that Polyphonic Roar is continuing to pump out dragons with Storm there.
he has to kill this Zeus, and that is the end of that. As in, he has no choice but to kill this Zeus.
So what does he have? 3, 5, 7, 3.
So the Razor Claw with the Hungering Horde.
Yeah. He needs to throw everything in.
And even then, actually, wait, he has to throw in his Razor Claw, but then he realizes, wait, in order to get rid of the damage that's going to kill me, I need to damage myself into a range of damage that's going to kill me.
The Razor Claw does damage to self. Yeah, and that'll be it. And you know, this is exactly the danger of running aggro blood, is that if you don't quite get that reach, the fact that he drew 3 Baphomets and his Karabos kind of back to back, or actually even in the wrong order, you know.
Right.
Maybe there's a world if he could have played the Karabos back to back that he could have drawn a better option sooner. You know, the fact that he had to do Baphomet, then get the Karabos, and he was stuck on 6 play points, remember? Because it just stops you there.
If he had gotten 2 Karaboses running safely, then that would have been greatly in his favor, but this is actually something that's quite new to me. The power that Dragon suddenly has over the game by the mere existence of Polyphonic Roar being on board. That is a lot of damage and a lot of trading that can come out of absolutely nowhere, and it can come out quite early despite costing 9, just by nature of being a Dragoncraft card.
The ramp.
Yes.
The ramp is incredible, and we see this very commonly with Dragoncraft overall, is that when you hit the curve for the ramp, it basically means you get to your late game when players can still be at 4 or 5 play points sometimes. You know, it really feels that way, especially if you get the ideal situation of Oracle into Isla into Sybil into whatever else is out there. You can ramp up incredibly quickly. That's exactly what happened there for Agunom.
So Tizin's going to try again with the same list, and Agunom is moving on to, at a glance, mid-shadow.
I actually, you know, I think there should be a lot of confidence behind this aggressive Bloodless. It's going to find a win. And as long as it can do that, you're fine.
It's a very consistent list, if nothing else.
Getting past or letting Ramp Dragon win is not, you know, it's Ramp Dragon is in a very good spot right now, so it's not surprising to see that it would take a win here. That's not necessarily a big concern. Shrug it off.
Dragon just simply has a great wealth of healing alongside its ramp, so we could see in that matchup it just stabilized and took that win, but a class like Shadow is not going to have that kind of healing inherent to it. So Tizin being on the draw, perhaps if he wants to play, if he were to want to play this aggressively, he'd hope to be on the play instead, but he's going to do the best he can with the extra resources.
The interesting thing here is, I mean, it might be worth talking a little bit about Vania, right? And being on the draw gives you more evolution, gives Vania a little more reach, but of course being on the play typically is better for aggressive lineups. You get on the curve earlier, you have board presence.
Vania with Night Horde earlier, for example, would be a very massive thing to do. You might have to use these resources soon.
Yeah. I do like the fact that because you have 2 Vanias in the pocket, you can play the first one, evolve it, do something like Hungry Horde or something like that, and take control of the board and do a little bit of chip damage. Then as play point 6 comes along, you can play a second Vania, evolve that one as well, and then use Night Horde with it to really keep that pressure going. And it is interesting because, you know, I feel like Vania's payoff only really caps out at like 3 typically. You know, you get 3 pings off of that.
And yet, just simply having a 2-drop that pings your opponent for 3 as it comes into play, especially as parts of being synergies with other cards, as Blood has always had a lot of cards that generate bats, is just a really impressive thing for a 2-drop to do.
Having to evolve the Skull Beast.
It's not a pretty trade to have to make here on as late of a turn as 5.
Yeah. Couldn't even Soul Conversion it. There wasn't kind of an upside that you got off of it. I mean, you built the Shadows, you're already at 11 Shadows, that means Ector by turn 7 is going to be able to give you some board presence here, if you haven't spent the Shadows by then.
Though, the grace of having to be on the play here and playing Ector on 7 is a bit countered by the fact that Tizin will have just had his turn 6, and activating Karabos I think is going to be very rough on Agunom here.
Yeah. I think he still has some fantastic plays, though, on turn 6 that he can utilize to be even more aggressive. And I think the good thing about Karabos is just the stats.
It's such a massive body on top of an effect that starts a very powerful snowball.
Yes. Okay, so he is going to spend the evolve here, and this is going to be a question of whether he wants to spend the evolve on Lavania, or if he wants to save it for placing down a Karabos, because big problem about some of these cards is they don't inherently have a catch-up or a instant effect on the board. So using the evolve is one of the best ways to justify spending on a Karabos. But if he spends it on the Vania on the next turn, obviously that's not an option anymore.
Using it there to go face, Agunom being able to draw into his little Soul Squasher there is very fortunate. This is the only way he could get a significant tempo swing.
Yeah. And still has enough shadows for the Ector as well. So this is...
He has a lot of stats on board, though it is still safe to play Karabos here. It is still safe to play Vania Nighthorde here.
Yes. You have to, and this is an important decision, one or the other, right? Because there are no evolution orb refills for blood. At least I would not imagine there exists any. It's not like there's going to be a random Olivia there, you know?
Perhaps the only thing to really consider for Tizin here is the most damage this Nighthorde is going to deal is 3. Because if he Vania's first, evolves Vania, and plays Nighthorde, that'll be 3 bats. But then that leaves a little bit of an awkward question for how do I deal with that Lich, really? Whereas trading the Baphomet into the 4-2 seems like a very solid way to go here. He is also at a quite high health point, so even that was not something that he was forced to do. Simply goes for the Karabos. This is safe, it leaves behind a very massive body. One that will be simple for...
evolve, he just passed. So I kind of like this. The Ector might hurt a little bit here. We'll see. So if the Ector comes down, I would imagine Lich goes face, 2 zombies get traded into the Karabos, which again, the body on Karabos is just so incredible.
Let's see whether Agunom here more values. Yeah, he more values getting that damage in face immediately over having the stability of 2 2/2 bodies.
Yeah. And yeah, that's an interesting choice. Just because basically it seems like Agunom says, hey, I'm okay with this aggressive game plan. Let's keep playing your game here.
And his hand is getting quite slow, so he's really starting to ramp up. He wants his Ector turn to be the most impactful it can be.
Here comes, is it time to spend the orb? He does!
Right. Very likely to see a Nighthorde come out here. He's trying to do a lot of damage. Going to put that on the Ector. Get a lot of damage off of Vania. Now Vania can make either trade here. Killing the Ector takes more damage off board.
Yeah. There's no evolution orbs anymore, so it's just going to be the vanilla stats here.
Rapidly gaining more resources off of the draw from Karabos' lingering effect as well. Has a Razor Claw in hand. It's getting very close. And Agunom's hand, lacking the shadows he needs to get the ward off of Death's Breath, means he doesn't have a very good way to answer these bats. So, what's he got in hand? He's got Razor Claw, Blood Wolf, and Dance of Death. But he's not getting any points anymore, so if he spends Dance of Death, that's his whole turn. I think Razor Claw and Blood Wolf plus 1 bat is enough. Yeah, if anything swings, so he only needs to do 5 right now. Right. Because the Karabos will tick at the end of the turn. Many different ways for him to just achieve it here, really. Yes. So Agunom was just thinking, perhaps like not having this information, not knowing how much burst Tizin has, perhaps able to expect there's a lot of it as none has been seen yet and Tizin's drawing so much. He is just simply thinking, perhaps what is it that I get out of my Usher? That would be Ector. And playing the other cards do not have very much value for him. He's probably just simply considering, is there something I'm not seeing? Otherwise, this is looking very unfortunate. Yeah, the only...
This is only so big.
Plays as much as he can.
He's dead.
It's a strong play, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Just has to pray that Tizin has no damage he can use, but unfortunately, as we know,
yes,
Tizin's just got it. In a lot of different ways, Tizin's got it.
Oh, give him the Karabos win.
Oh, if he ends his turn here, that'd be so cool.
Oh, man. Well, hey, you know, the Japanese players have been all about business. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line, you know, and there was a very hard lesson learned for some of the Japanese competitors in a previous Rage, actually. Very true. Where they tried to style on their opponent, and they threw away the game. I see that happen a lot in Rage tournaments. Every time I see BM, it seems like there's a much more powerful
karmic force for them.
Yes, there's a karmic. There's something invisible coming through the waves there.
Such a respectful culture does not have room for that much BM.
They got no time for that.
Yeah, that said, a lot of Japanese people on ladder BM me very much. It hurts my feelings.
Why?
As a grown adult, it hurts my feelings that I'm being BM'd in a card game.
Please stop hurting Mofu.
Please don't bully me. I'm just simply trying to play some Shadowverse.
That's a message out to the internet, to all you viewers out there. Please,
please make it a better place.
Yes.
And never use emotes, because I don't want to contact anybody. no communication. But
no communication. So we are up 1-on-1 now, and as expected, the aggro blood is able to move on, and now Tizin is going to go rely on sword. And as long as this aggro game plan stays, I mean, Agunom is, you're not getting away from this. Oh, God,
Tizin
what a
is
hand.
also playing Froggy Sword.
Yeah.
That's
Froggy
two Froggy
Sword
swords.
with Ephemera is such a powerful card. Ephemera is so good. The only thing about Swordcraft, and especially Froggy aggro, is that it, strangely enough, it takes a little while to get spinning, even though it is aggressive. You know, the fact that you're spending 3 play points on a 1 damage drop, you're spending maybe 4 play points on a Ephemera 1/3 that's not even really going to swing, is actually quite devastating.
It absolutely is.
It's not like a typical sword curve where you're getting, hopefully, overstated followers. You're getting understated followers that just are there the whole time, and swinging and swinging and swinging.
And that ninja trainee, assuming that this is what's supposed to be happening in Shield of Flame, just absolutely obliterated that Usher. Like, that Usher is ashes right now.
Yeah, Shield of Flame obviously game.
I'm surprised it made a shadow, considering how absolutely devastating that burst.
The Shield of Flame was so bright,
just cremated it on the spot.
Shadow was there in the swig.
Yeah, but as you were saying, Ephemera has added so much to this deck on the principle of being a Royal Banner for a list that doesn't necessarily need any kind of commander synergies that Royal Banner would give, and this is a Royal Banner that can attack. And I think that is itself such a huge and significant part of it.
Yeah. So opts to play the Novice Trooper on 3 instead of the Vagabond Frog. That is definitely a choice that you have to consider, right? Because the Novice Trooper gives you 2, but the Vagabond Frog is something that stays forever and ever and ever and ever. So here it goes.
Tizin may have been considering there. I'm going to just try to get this damage in as soon as possible. It's going to be more than the Vagabond Frog, and he doesn't exactly have particular synergies in his hand for it, but it's great to play here.
Here it comes. Now, I don't know if there's any kind of random removal here. Necro Assassin is one of the ways that could possibly hit an ambush follower.
Lurching Corpse as well.
Yes, there's not a lot of options in the game that have untargeted removal, meaning that ambush is very, very difficult to deal with, but it's a race, right? Again, stats are not sky high for this.
Vagabond Frog is a very small stated minion.
Yeah. You have another evolution orb. It would make sense to have all 3 orbs go face.
Right, as Tizin is ahead in the race, the further ahead he gets, the more this deck just absolutely takes off with it.
Yep, especially, I mean, on the next turn there is a possibility of Death's Breath happening, so there is that consideration. Can he gain the shadows for it? I don't
see how you get the shadows if your opponent doesn't let you like this.
If you evolve, you can, because then you can throw in both your followers. Oh wow, he didn't attack. I like that.
The shadows.
Yeah, he's denying the shadows, so that you can't put up ward, but he's losing out on 1 swing of damage for the benefit of preventing ward, so he can get more damage on the next turn.
I think he's also setting up lethal there. I just counted it out in my head.
Yep.
So that's 9 damage coming in from the right side, and that's 4 damage coming in from the Kunoichi trainee and the Novice Trooper, and the last point of damage, I believe, totals out to 15. Yep. Being 9 plus 6.
I believe Alwita. So Alwita summons the.
I think it will be the pirate.
Pirate first.
But the fact
pirate
that his
is the ward.
Yeah. But the fact that his board has been left untouched simply just hands this over to the Novice Trooper.
Yes, Novice Trooper will do 2.
Though I think 14 is actually achievable if he wants to BM here, in that he can kill his Kunoichi trainee, then play Alwita's Evolve, and that's 14 damage. So you can go for some advanced
3, 6,
BM
9, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, yep.
Right there. So Tizin takes that win, and Agunom doesn't even know does not know what's actually attacking him here.
Aggressive.
It's a hit from the shadows.
I really like the play of Evolve and Hold. Such a smart play there.
Counted it out, realized, noticed it, saw the line,
Yeah.
and that's that. Tizin just wins off of that simple observation against Agunom not being able to draw answers to this.
Tizin is going. He has no time for this. He's playing aggro. You know?
Right. Tizin wants to give people a show, and he's giving people that show. He says, I have observed that you can't do anything about this. I'm going to make sure that I play in a way that everyone sees me beat you.
Yeah. So that mid-shadow deck is really having trouble. And, you know, the aggro doesn't stop, right? There's still going to be Rune, which I'm going to assume to be neutral. And I guess there's a world that it could be Burn. But even Burn Rune can be incredible against Shadow. The amount of AoE clear that you get. Also, things like Magic Illusionist is basically like the better Catacomb, right?
Right.
Where
It is a
like,
self-functioning. Right. He has such great flavor to it, too. He knows he's amazing.
Yeah.
Especially with Witch's Cauldron now. The fact that such a sticky follower is
It's
able
giving
to
you card
constantly
advantage.
give you draws.
Yep.
Though we are actually just guessing about this, he could just suddenly swap to D-shift from these very aggressive lists.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I guess you're looking for a fight.
On the draw here for the...
Neutral! So much neutral room.
He's got the late game package as well, which
This
is
is-
kind of...
I've never seen Sahagwil and up in neutral rune. I've always seen this as a very aggressive list.
Yeah.
So would this classify as a control deck?
That's a good question. I mean, I would imagine you would not get rid of too much of your early cards. So he didn't have a 1-drop, but he does have a good set of turns going up until turn 4. Wandering board.
I see this Elta is showing up a lot in this tournament. I wonder if Japanese
unfortunate
players
thing-
have seen something in
Yeah.
Elta.
The unfortunate thing is it needs to evolve before it gets that effect, and now it's dead. And so it's, for example, if you're on the draw, you're going to be able to do things like play Alice before that effect is even possibly utilized. Right? By that time, it's too late because your Bard is dead.
And for those who are unaware, the significance of Elta's effect is that when he is evolved, he doesn't gain full stats, just becomes a 3/3, but he gains a lingering aura effect as long as he's alive, where all fanfare effects, I would think this actually extends to a lot more types of effects too. He has a very long
on the play effects. Like that.
Almost all of those are just absolutely disabled. They just won't activate.
I'm going to change the world.
So here comes the Alice, and of course in all neutral decks, that is incredible. Look at that Isafil just lifting weights in the back there. Alice is the physical trainer,
Yeah.
coaching all the other neutral cards.
She's got the most muscular violin-playing fingers.
Yeah.
Each one of her individual fingers can lift a weight.
Yeah. My God.
And imagine the kind of music that makes.
My God.
So as for answering this Alice, Agunom looks to be in a pretty tough position. There's no particularly great evolution he can make, but
Yeah. Lion of the Golden City plus Beast Call Aria is absolutely phenomenal. Just so much stats on the board on turn 5, plus the Evolution Orb. And it's either this combo or with Tea Time is the other popular amulet to pop with Lion. Both give you an incredible turn.
You were done for.
okay, interesting. He evolves the Holy Flame Tiger instead of the Lion in order to survive with a 6/1 and a 5/5 rather than a 7/2
No.
and a 4/4.
Ball is in Tizin's court.
Though with only 5 play points, this is such a difficult board to play onto. I've seen Neutral Rune doesn't seem to play Magic Missile, which is phenomenal to get over bare value trades like this.
Yes. You do have the Lyrial,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't...
I've got to
I think Felice is a better choice because you can't pop with the on-play effect that
It won't
evolve
be
to
long
take down the
now.
Tiger, even though you overflow damage
No crying.
and you
No
leave your
looking
Felice
back.
very weak at the end. It's still the safer play in terms of preserving health. And when you're playing in this game, I would imagine that Neutral Haven is the deck that burns out quicker, so that falls on to Tizin to play slightly more defensive, despite the fact that he is a more aggressive set player.
And being on
my
the draw, he has so many cards in his hand that he'd like to get out. I find I think the archetype that he's deciding to run Neutral Rune is actually showing through here, in that he hasn't had many powerful plays. He's been playing, I'd say, not too slowly, but slowly enough that he's very easy to take advantage of here. But he's not converting this into more aggression. He's turning this into a Sahagwil, an Israfil. Very strong late game options.
So, typically, stereotypically, I would say the fact that Agunom is sitting on things like Eagle Man and Garuda would give him, you know, pretty good options going into the late game. But the fact that there's things like Zahak Israfil twice in a row, then the actual Israfil drop itself,
that
plus
clears a lot, and it heals very much as well.
Yes. Yeah, that Israfil is going to clear out everything on the board due to its
then do it
AoE
again.
ability. Yep. Twice, back to back. You don't even need to spend an evolution orb on it as well.
He's probably thinking about whether he needs to spend an evolution orb right now and whether he'll do it on the buffed Lyriel or the non-buffed Lyriel.
Yeah. So the question is, on the next turn you have the Israfil drop, so you actually, you know, maybe somewhat invite the fact that, so if you're just thinking purely about board space, right?
Mm-hmm.
You only have play points enough. Well, I guess you could commit to. Let's see.
Perhaps Tizin
You could
is
do
thinking,
Garuda and Eagle Man.
Alright. Perhaps Tizin with this current play is thinking that he's not in too much trouble, but he is in enough where he wants to evolve and try to get Agunomu off. Whereas Agunomu, many resources as you said, can go for this Eagle Man alongside some other neutrals.
Yeah.
The damage from Garuda is not yet relevant enough to simply play it. Later he may draw an Arya, and that would be a significant amount of burst. Right now Agunomu just has to focus on getting back into the game through taking any control of the board he can here. But I don't see a way that he could really do it that doesn't involve his board being blown out by Israfil the next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Goblin Princess dying is not the worst thing in the world. But it's still losing pressure on the board.
Yeah. Obviously I find it very unlikely that he would play around Israfil. It seems like a pretty rare choice, and it's not something that one would expect of neutral in turn 7 of Sahak wheel Israfil.
Yeah, trying to mitigate damage here. It's a smart choice.
Throws in what he can, gets the value off of the princesses. Not much left on board for Israfil to get value on.
Yeah, I like that. Make sure you get some value off your followers before the possibility of having them all wiped away. That's a very, very smart play from Agunom.
Now right here, the Eagle Man, if you don't know that your opponent has an Israfil, that's going to come out next turn from a Sahak wheel. It looks very attractive, doesn't it, as Tizin does not have any evolve points left.
So that Eagle Man's just done.
Right.
He
He's
does
gonna
have double Goblin King. That kind of helps a little bit. But the sheer amount of chip from 2 swings of Israfil going into these late turns is really gonna hurt.
It's going to make it very easy to deal with these Goblin Kings as well. Especially considering he played the buffed Sahak wheel.
Yeah.
And the difference of the 5/5 body here is the difference of being able to kill a Goblin King by herself. Plays both, but I don't feel that this develops Agunomu's position much at all.
Yeah. Again.
Runs into a second Sahak wheel, and how could you expect that to happen?
Again.
Unfortunate, the 2 damage on the other Goblin King doesn't really matter much. The Sahak wheel still trading it all the same, but still such an advantageous position to be in. Tizin has a lot of health when he plays the Israfil next turn if he chooses to. And Agunomu's still struggling to find much more than just early game neutral pieces.
Still no amulet as well, so the Garuda doesn't have that added synergy. And I really think... Okay, so he's got 8 on board, no evolution orbs, +3 from Garuda, which falls just short of any kind of lethal here. Plus the Israfil healing is going to put that even further away, and he's gotten away with dropping the Israfil without spending an evolution orb.
Right. I feel that this is another one of the weaknesses of what we've seen of Neutral Haven sometimes, in that... Whereas
you really need a ward. Oh god. Oh god, Israfil is going to do so much damage.
This is just an uncontested Israfil.
Yeah. Watching Israfil hit face is something terrifying. But he might go for... Well, you know, you could just hit face. It's going to clear out 2 cards for you as well.
And Felice should be able to...
Oh, and another
Israfil. Mysterian Grimoire continues onward.
Oh, Alice is going to be 9-11. Not quite. The Alice isn't quite giving
Very close.
Alright,
just simply goes for the Felice to injure Garuda. By injure, I mean just blow him out, just take him out of here. And Israfil just swats away everything else. He knows that the 2 cards in Agunomu's hand are just carrots.
Tizin! Look at him go!
This is the... Ooh, Agunom is going to take this standing up.
Yeah.
Straightens his back, probably.
So since that Ramp Dragon deck won, Tizin was just elbow dropping, giving him this German suplex, you know, just arm barring.
Stun locking him in the corner.
Yeah.
Getting him with all the text, getting him with the
blow by blow.
hits.
You know, we looked at, so